here, and today we're gonna have an interesting topic for a YouTube video. Can the 2003-2004 Detroit Pistons win the 2017 NBA Finals? Now that year was one of the most biggest, greatest NBA drafts in franchise history. It consisted of LeBron James, Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade, Carmelo Anthony, and what was supposed to be one of the best, Darko Milicic. But LeBron went 1, Darko 2, and that was Detroit Pistons number 2 pick. The coach at the time was Larry Brown, and the general manager was Joe Dumars. Let's see what we can do here. Now the Pistons finished with a 54-28 record overall in the season. And they advanced to the playoffs. In the first round, they beat the Milwaukee Bucks in 5 games. In the Eastern Conference semifinals, they beat New Jersey Nets in 7 games. In the Eastern Conference Finals, they knocked off the Indiana Pacers in Game 6. And they also beat, in the NBA Finals, the Los Angeles Lakers in only 5 games. Now this was probably one of the greatest Pistons lineups because it had Richard Hamilton, Ben Wallace, Chauncey Billups. You know, just naming off of one of the few that led the team to the NBA championship. And as you can see here, it's going pretty rough for the Detroit Pistons right now. But their roster consisted of Chauncey Billups, Eldon Campbell, Tremaine Fawkes, Darvin Ham, Richard Hamilton, Lindsey Hunter, Mike James, Darko Milicic, Mohamed Okur, Tayshaun Prince, Ben Wallace, Rasheed Wallace, and Carlos Williamson. In the starting lineup for that year, it was Chauncey at point, Richard Hamilton at the 2, Tayshaun Prince 3, Rasheed Wallace at the power forward, and 5, Ben Wallace. And Darko, he was only a reserve, and he only played in like probably 8 games in the playoffs, I think I remember. So he didn't get a lot of playing time. And I think he only got like 14 minutes in all of the playoffs. But yeah, that year in the Eastern Conference standings, Indiana Pacers was number 1 with 61 wins and 21 wins, with Detroit right behind them with 54 and 28. Well, Detroit was ranked number 3 in the playoff standings. 2 was the Nets, 1st was the Pacers, 4 was Miami, 5 was New Orleans Hornets, 6 was Milwaukee, 7 was New York, and 8 was Boston Celtics. Sadly, in LeBron James' rookie year, Cleveland did not make the playoffs. But I'm pretty sure Melo made the playoffs. Then, of course, D-Wade made the playoffs. There was their best record, like the best they ever done, was probably in January. They was 13-3. Second was probably April with 6-1, and third was 10-3 in March. So that finish with a strong finish to be able to make it in the playoffs and to be able to work up to possibly their third NBA championship. Right now, what are we, 33-41? Wow. Now this ain't gonna be looking good for the 2003-2004 Detroit Pistons. Wow. Russell Westbrook, Ben Simmons, Blake Griffin, DeAndre, Steve Kerr. Ben Wallace played a big part in the playoffs. Now let's see who wins. Actually, Ben Wallace he was on the NBA All Defensive First Team and All NBA Second Team, while Chauncey Billups won the MVP in the finals. And as you can see, Golden State wins. Kevin Durant probably got it because there's all the buzz now. Well, Stephen Curry. Alright, now let's look at the stats. Richard Hamilton. You know, that little face mask he has on, I think the story behind that was he broke his nose in a game, or in his facial area, and when he wore that mask, they won the finals in 03 and 04, so he decided to wear it for as long as his career went on. Right, yeah. Richard Hamilton, 22, almost 23 points per game, with 3.9 rebounds, 5.5 assists. Chauncey with 15, 4.1, 5.7. Big Ben Wallace, 12 points a game, almost 11 defensive rebounds per game, and 15.1 rebounds per game. Tayshaun Prince, 11.5. Earl Campbell, I'd say Earl Campbell, 10 points a game. Lindsey Hunter with 9.3, and Darko probably with the highest he's ever scored, or the average, was 7.1 points a game. But going on with the Darko Milicic, since we all knew Detroit couldn't get the job done in 2017. Everybody made out Darko to possibly be one of the greatest, but he wasn't. He didn't even last long with the Pistons. I mean, he bounced around from team to team. I remember he was on the T-Wolves, the Grizzlies, the Knicks, the Celtics, and the Magic. He was only with Detroit for 3 years. The Magic picked him up for 1 year, Grizzlies picked him up for 2, and the Knicks picked him up for 1. T-Wolves picked him up for 2, and he only played 1 year for Celtics. And he only averaged 6 points a game out of his career, and 4.2 rebounds. Being a 7-foot center, and you only average 4.2 rebounds per game, a point guard can average more than that. 275 pounds too. I mean, this was, I don't know, he was a joke, man. He really didn't, like I said earlier, he really didn't get much playing time with the Pistons, so he's traded to the Magic. So yeah, I mean, it was pretty bad for him coming in as considered one of the best. In his rookie year, he only averaged 1.4 points per game, excuse me. The only best he averaged was in 2010 when he was with Minnesota, and he only averaged like close to 9 points a game. Then he went on to be a professional kickboxer. Now this is the first I ever heard. I actually seen one of his matches. I thought he won it, but he didn't. And he only did one match and lost. But you know, Darka, I mean, he's one of them people that pretty much try everything, but you're not good at it. So don't get me wrong, he was a good player for Serbia, but he wasn't NBA talent until he progressed through the years and averaged more points than what he was averaging when he first came in. But Ben Wallace, this guy was unreal. I mean, you see him, two-time All-Star, two-time second-team All-NBA, one-time third-team All-NBA, two-time Defense Player of the Year, first-team All-Defense, 3 straight years. You got Richard Hamilton. I mean, if Detroit Pistons wouldn't have won the finals, they would never been known as probably one of the greatest Detroit Pistons teams ever to live. People act like, yeah, it was one of the best, but I might have said earlier, but while I'm thinking about it, I was wrong. The best was in the 80s, 90s. Sorry, I wasn't alive at the time, born 98, but it was when Isaiah Thomas was there, Bill Laimbeer, Dennis Rodman, Joe DeMars. And that was the team. They won 2 straight NBA champions, I remember that. But yeah, that was the only 3 championships they had, 03, 04. Man, I want to say it was in the 80s when they won it. I don't know, I wasn't born like I said, but this is crazy, man. I mean, all these good stars on this average team, but they made it good. They made it last. But yeah, I'm out. I'll be back on tomorrow, possibly doing if the 2006-2007 Cavaliers or the, I don't know, Shaq's rookie year Magic, to see if they can win it. But I'm out. Good night. See y'all.